At first, nothing really changes. At least, that's what it feels like. You still joke around with the same friends, still go to the same spots, still sit in the same plastic chairs, still order the same food, still laugh at the same old stories you've told 100 times before. Someone brings up that embarrassing thing that happened years ago. Everybody laughs. Somebody exaggerates the story. Everybody laughs even harder. For a moment, it feels exactly like old times. You still send memes to each other, still argue about football, still complain about traffic, still talk about random things that don't really matter. And honestly, that's what makes it confusing. Because on the surface, everything feels the same. Nobody's treating you differently. Nobody's acting strange. Nobody's talking about money. Nobody's talking about success. Life just keeps moving. Then little things start happening. Things so small that you barely notice them at first. A conversation here, a comment there, a joke that feels slightly different than it used to. And before you realize it, something has changed. Not overnight, not dramatically, just slowly, quietly, like a crack forming in a wall. You don't notice it when it starts. You only notice it when it's already there. Because while everyone else is moving along at one pace, your life starts picking up speed. And that's when you notice something weird. Success doesn't just change your bank account, it changes your relationships too. Think about it. A few years ago, you were all in the same boat. Same struggles, same goals, same things to complain about. Everyone talked about being successful. Everyone talked about making more money. Everyone talked about changing their lives. But then something happened. You actually followed through. You took the chances that most people only talk about, the chances that felt uncomfortable, the chances that came with no guarantees. You started when you didn't feel ready. You kept going when things weren't working. You stayed up late trying to figure things out. You spent weekends working while other people were relaxing. You watched videos, read books, made mistakes, tried again, failed, tried again, failed again, and kept going anyway. There were days when you questioned everything, days when it felt like nothing was happening, days when quitting seemed like the smarter option. Put in the extra work, made sacrifices nobody really saw, kept going when people doubted you. And eventually, things started to change. At first, it was small. A little more income, a little more freedom, a little more confidence. Nothing crazy. But success has a way of building on itself. And over time, those small changes turn into big ones. One day you're sitting with your friends at a restaurant. The bill comes, and suddenly you realize something. A few years ago, splitting that bill would have stressed you out. You would have checked your bank account, done the math in your head, wondered if you could afford it. Now, you barely think about it. You just pay. Not because you're trying to show off, not because you're rich, but because money isn't as tight as it used to be. And that's when you notice your friend staring at the bill, the exact same way you used to. That's when it hits you. Your lives aren't in the same place anymore. One day they're planning the weekend, you're planning the next 5 years. One day they're asking how much something costs. You're asking whether it's actually worth it. And that's when the gap starts to show. Not a money gap, a mindset gap. Because money changes what's on your mind, what you worry about, what you focus on. And sometimes that makes conversations a little harder. Not because anyone's wrong, but because you're slowly living different lives. Then comes the part nobody sees coming, the jokes. At first they seem harmless. Oh, you got money now. Don't forget us when you're rich. Must be nice. Everybody laughs. You laugh too. But after a while, the jokes start hitting differently because behind some jokes, there's resentment. Behind some smiles, there's envy. And behind some congratulations, there's disappointment. Not everyone will be excited about your success. Some people genuinely will be. The real ones usually are. But others quietly wish you'd stayed the same because your growth reminds them of what they haven't done. And that's uncomfortable. The funny thing is, you never set out to become a different person. You just wanted a better life, That's it. You weren't trying to leave anyone behind. You weren't trying to prove anything. You weren't sitting there thinking, one day I'm going to be better than everyone else. In fact, if someone had asked you years ago why you were working so hard, your answer would have been pretty simple. You just wanted less stress, less worrying, less uncertainty. You wanted to stop checking your bank account before every purchase. You wanted to stop feeling anxious whenever an unexpected expense showed up. You wanted to help your family, take care of yourself, maybe travel a little, maybe enjoy life a little more. Nothing extraordinary, just a better life. But somewhere along the way, people started treating your growth as if it was a personal decision against them, as if your success automatically meant you thought you were better, as if improving your life meant rejecting the people who were part of it. And that's what makes it so confusing, because from your perspective, you're still you. You still remember what it felt like to struggle. You still remember the sleepless nights, the self-doubt, the setbacks, the moments when you felt completely lost. Those experiences didn't disappear. If anything, they became part of who you are. But success changes people, not just you, everyone around you. Some friends become your biggest supporters. The moment something good happens, they're genuinely happy for you. Not because they benefit from your success, not because they expect anything in return. They simply want to see you win. When you tell them about a new opportunity, they get excited. When you reach a milestone, they celebrate with you. When you doubt yourself, they remind you how far you've come. Those friends are rare, and the higher you climb, the more valuable they become. Then there are the spectators. They don't support you, but they don't oppose you either. They simply watch, quietly, from a distance. They keep up with your life. They see your progress. They notice your success, but they never really become part of the journey. They're like people standing on the side of a road watching a car pass by, interested, curious, but never getting in. Then there are the friends who slowly drift away, not because of a fight, not because of some dramatic argument. It happens so gradually that you barely notice it. The calls become less frequent, the messages become shorter, the invitations stop coming. The conversations feel forced. And one day, you realize it's been months since you last spoke. What's strange is that neither of you planned for it to happen. Life just pulled you in different directions, different goals, different priorities, different realities. Sometimes nobody is to blame. Sometimes people simply outgrow the version of each other they once knew. And then there are the people who show you who they've really been all along. These are often the hardest ones, because at first, you don't want to believe it. You want to think you're imagining things. You want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But eventually, the signs become impossible to ignore. The jokes feel sharper. The compliments feel backhanded. The support feels conditional. The excitement they once had for your success starts disappearing. And that's when you realize something uncomfortable. They were okay with your dreams as long as they stayed dreams. They were okay with your ambition as long as it didn't produce results. They were okay with your goals as long as everyone remained on the same level. But the moment your life started changing, so did the way they looked at you. And that's one of the strangest lessons success teaches. Success doesn't create people's character, it reveals it. The loyal become more loyal. The supportive become more supportive. The jealous become more jealous. And the people who truly care about you become easier to recognize than ever before. Because success has a way of pulling back the curtain. When everyone's struggling together, it's easy to feel connected. Think about it. Everybody understands each other. Everybody is fighting similar battles. Everybody is worried about similar things. Nobody has it figured out. Nobody knows exactly what they're doing. You're all just trying your best, trying to survive, trying to move forward, trying to build a better future. And strangely enough, there's something comforting about that. Because even when life is hard, at least you're not going through it alone. You can complain about money together, laugh about being broke together, dream about becoming successful together. You understand each other's frustrations. You understand each other's fears. You understand each other's reality. But when one person starts pulling ahead, people's true feelings tend to come out. Not immediately, not in some dramatic movie scene. Usually, it's much quieter than that. It starts with little things, a comment, a joke, a strange reaction. You tell your friend some good news, maybe your business is doing well, maybe you got a promotion, maybe you finally reached the goal you've been chasing for years. And instead of excitement, the room goes quiet. Just for a second, long enough for you to notice. Then somebody changes the subject. Somebody else makes a joke, and everybody moves on. But something feels different. You can't quite explain it. You just feel it. Another time, you buy something nice for yourself. Nothing crazy, just something you've worked hard for. And suddenly, people start saying, "You've changed. You're different now." Money got to your head, even though you're still the same person. The same person who struggled, the same person who doubted themselves, the same person who spent years trying to improve their life. The only difference is, now people can see the results. And results make people uncomfortable because success creates comparison, whether people want it to or not. Every achievement becomes a reminder. Every win becomes a mirror. And mirrors can be difficult to look at. Some people will see your success and feel inspired. They'll think, if they can do it, maybe I can too. Those people become your biggest supporters. But others will see your success and feel frustrated. Not necessarily with you, but with themselves. Because your progress forces them to confront questions they've been avoiding. Questions like, what have I been doing with my time? Why am I still in the same place? Could I have done more? And sometimes it's easier to blame the successful person than answer those questions. That's why success is such a strange thing. It doesn't just reveal your character, it reveals everyone else's too. Then comes the strangest part, the part nobody warned you about, Saturday night. You're sitting in a nicer apartment than you've ever lived in. You've got money in the bank, your bills are paid, things are finally working out. A younger version of you would have dreamed about this moment. Yet somehow, you're scrolling through your phone wondering who to call. Because success solved a lot of problems, but it didn't automatically create people who understand your new life. And for the first time, you realize money and connection aren't the same thing. Because the people who understood your old life don't fully get your new one. And the people in your new life weren't around for the old one. For a while, it feels like you're stuck between two worlds. No longer where you started, not quite where you're headed. Just somewhere in the middle, trying to make sense of it all. But eventually, something really good happens. You stop worrying about everyone's approval. You stop feeling guilty for growing. You stop apologizing for your success. And you start appreciating the people who stuck around. The friends who celebrate your wins. The friends who don't treat life like a competition. The friends who want to see you succeed even when there's nothing in it for them. Those friendships become incredibly valuable. Because real friendship was never about money. It was never about status. It was never about being on the exact same level. It was about wanting the best for each other. And that's when you learn the biggest lesson. Getting wealthy before your friends doesn't just show you who your friends are. It shows you who everyone is, including yourself. Because success reveals character. The loyal become even more loyal. The jealous become more jealous. The supportive become more supportive. And you figure out who truly belongs in your life. Not because of what you have, but because of who you are. In the end, the goal was never just to get rich. The goal was to build a life you actually enjoy. And find people who are genuinely happy to see you win along the way.